Good day, gentle viewers. In today's news, even more anime delays for this season, but at least one is coming back. Even better news, a bunch of popular anime series and franchises are getting confirmed sequels. All of that alongside an update on the current seasonal rankings today. So, without any further ado, I am Tristan Land, and welcome to Glass Reflection. Let's jam. Let's start off with the bad news. A couple of weeks ago here on the show, we listed out a number of anime from this currently airing season that were getting delayed due to various production issues. And while I would assume others, hope that that would be it for this season, as all of those delay announcements came rather close together with one another, and then there was just a bunch of nothing, we now have two more. The Misfit of Demon Academy 2 has officially delayed episode 7 and beyond, with the production committee placing blame on The Thing for causing delays in the show's production schedule. Like some previously delayed shows this season, the plan apparently is to restart the show's airing with episode 1 come the 18th, and with any luck by the time they get back around to episode 7 again, things should be back up and running. But that is just my assumption, as officially they have not guaranteed that episode 7 will release in line with the new schedule, and instead have said that they will just keep us posted as time progresses and things are decided. Also, Bofuri Season 2 is getting delayed. The committee for this show has similarly placed blame on The Thing for production woes, but they went a step further by specifically blaming the parts of production that take place in China for causing delays. Unlike both Misfit of Demon Academy and the others that have seen delays in the past, though, Bofuri will have an altered release schedule. They will be re-airing the first 2 episodes of this season starting from February 22nd and also then on March 1st, respectively. However, then on March 8th, we will get back to the weekly releases of episodes 7 through 10. They do not, however, state that there is a guarantee that the final 2 episodes of the season will be airing after that, and therefore will be keeping us updated. So best case scenario, Bofuri only gets a 2-week delay, which is significantly better than Misfit's minimum 6-week delay, which happens to be the longest so far. In better delayed news, however, we do get to see the clock run out on the delays for the Nier adaptation. As promised, after being delayed since January 28th, episode 4 of Nier is scheduled to be released on February 18th, and while they did not confirm that the series would be continuing weekly from that point, they also did not specifically say that it wasn't going to continue either. Now, it's possible that there might be another delay in Nier's schedule, since now that we seem to be entering a second wave of delays for this season, but I am personally hopeful that Nier is now out of the woods so we can get back to enjoying that particular adaptation as it is released. Production for a new Lycoris Recoil project has been greenlit. We know literally nothing else beyond that fact. Like, we don't know when it will be released, or how long is it, or is it even a movie, and so forth. We don't know. And a not insignificant part of me is kind of hoping that the project he is referring to doesn't actually mean a sequel in the traditional sense, because hey, the characters of Lycoris Recoil were the best part, and the story of the show was just kind of okay at best. So making a much more like chill slice of life adaptation would be freaking ace in my opinion, but yeah, it's far more likely to be a proper second season with a continuing story. But hey, Lycoris Recoil made it into my top 10 anime from last year. Check that video out if you haven't. So I am of course stoked about getting any semblance of a new sequel, even if it's a continuation and not a slice of life spin-off, which I would prefer. However, I am not as excited for that as I am for this next announcement. Rascal Does Not Dream of a Sister Venturing Out is a sequel anime film following Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, which covered the first 5, I believe, volumes of the franchise's light novel, and also following Rascal Does Not Dream of a Dreaming Girl from 2019, a film that covered volumes 6 and 7. Now, Sister Venturing Out is an adaptation of the 8th and 9th volumes, one of which has the same name as the film's title, and then volume 9 was Rascal Does Not Dream of a Knapsack Kid, and the film is expected to release in Japanese films sometime this summer. Now, we haven't seen anything from the Bunny Girl Senpai franchise since 2019, and honestly, I was kind of worried that we would never go back to it, which would be a tragedy, simply because of how good this original story is and how great the adaptation of it has been. The light novel has been continuing unabated for the last number of years, and even after this film, there is still at least 3 more volumes of material to cover. Now, not having read volume 12, I'm not completely sure that there is going to be more beyond that, but I have been led to believe that volume 12 is not the final volume. That said, releases of the light novel have slowed down. While previously multiple volumes of the light novel would be released yearly, after volume 11, we then saw a complete 2-year gap until volume 12 came out. Now, that could be due to a number of things that could have possibly have delayed the author over the last number of years. And those things perhaps have been dealt with, and new volumes will now be continuing at a steady pace. Or it could be another 2 years until volume 13. We just don't know. But that sounds a bit more depressing than I wanted this segment to be. So hey, more Bunny Girl Senpai. I am really looking forward to watching it, and I hope that whoever ends up licensing this new film will get the English release out promptly. I'm not going to hold my breath with that. And I think that was it for sequel news. Oh, right, my mistake. We also got a poster tease for the 2nd season of Gundam Witch of Mercury. It's not a proper announcement since the 2nd core of the show was already announced, and we're just, kind of waiting patiently for its release. But the poster looks cool. So there's that. Perhaps one of these days, I might interrupt our regularly scheduled news segment with a big, fancy sponsor for these videos. But today is not that day. I don't always like having sponsors because sponsors have rules and guidelines and requests and revisions, and if I had the choice, I would much rather not deal with that at all if I could avoid it, which is why I want you all to understand just how extremely grateful I am for supporters of this show over on Patreon. Because yes, this video is not sponsored, and the more support that we get over there, the less sponsors that Glass Reflection will ever need at any given time. So an immense thank you, especially to patrons like Rushane X Ferris Feet, Sita Yamako, Rifen Bonaparte, Ross Emerson, Omar Showman, Hector Montemayor, Wago221, and Deluxe Flame. We cannot continue this show without your support, so however much you are able to help, I am eternally grateful. Netflix has decided to extend its password sharing limits to Canada, New Zealand, Spain, and Portugal. This isn't directly anime news, but since it does affect Netflix, which does offer a not insignificant amount of anime, I thought this was kind of relevant. Also, because it's Canada specific, which means it affects me, but not you. I say you in that I'm expecting this to be mostly watched by Americans, because according to YouTube, that's the demographic for this channel. And you should know how screwed we get up here sometimes. So subscribers of Netflix will be able to add up to 2 secondary users to their Netflix account who reside outside of the primary location for the account at an additional charge of $7.99 Canadian, roughly translated to just under $6 US. Now, this hasn't been implemented in the US yet. I wonder why. No, actually, I don't wonder why. They're phasing it out briefly in a lot of their markets, but not their main market, because if other people get used to it, when eventually they bring it to the US, hopefully there will be less backlash, or at least I'm assuming that's what they're doing. This isn't new, actually. In fact, I can give you another example in which Canada specifically has been screwed in the past. Do you remember how back in the day Crunchyroll used to offer free episodes of things? Ad-supported, sure, but free episodes of things past a certain point, like all of the new stuff was for premium subscribers, fair enough, but the rest of their archive library was like ad-supported and anybody could just kind of watch it if they wanted to. Not in Canada. It's possible you didn't know that because you're not from north of the border, but for a very, very long time, Crunchyroll's archive wasn't available for free in Canada. It was a subscriber-only thing, despite the fact that it was ad-supported in the States. Crunchyroll has never given an official reason for this, and anytime I've ever asked anybody at Crunchyroll what the deal was, I mean, I got a variety of different answers, none of which were satisfying in any way, shape, or form. Like, I understand certain things because, like, hey, Canada, despite being very large landmass, has a population roughly equivalent to just California, so it makes sense that we're not necessarily catered to. Fair. However, giving us a disadvantage, giving us extra new, not great features, I'm getting sick of the fact that this is now par for the course. Eventually, I assume that this new subscription model will make it over to US Netflix, and maybe there'll be enough backlash when it happens. But even if there is backlash, what I actually am worried about is that United States Netflix users will not get this new additional subscription bonus, and it'll just be, you know, a thing that all the international crowd has to deal with, because Netflix doesn't want you sharing with people. Unless you pay them. And now for the anime trending chart for this week. What the hell is wrong with people? Did I judge this series wrongly? I may have. I may have missed something amazing with it. Either that or people's escapism for having a great girlfriend just triumphs over all adversity. The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten has risen to the absolute top of the chart this week, bringing it into first place for the first time in the last 5 weeks that this chart has been active for this season. Also notably, this particular season, at no point in time, has ever left the top 3. Vinland Saga has been number 1 at least twice now, if I'm remembering correctly, this season, and it has now dropped to 3rd, and Reincarnated Princess has dropped to 4th, which is a little bit odd, because like I mentioned in previous weeks, I said that said series was a little slow for a couple of episodes, but I actually feel like now it's picked up a little bit as of late, so I expected it to trend back upwards. But apparently I'm just not the best guesser on how this chart is gonna end up as weeks go by. Thankfully, Bofuri has risen up even further into 6th place, but I have a very large suspicion that once its rerun kicks in, that's gonna drop off the list quite quickly for a few weeks. Perhaps so then we will see Nier make a resurgence back into the top of the chart. At the bottom of the list, well, Ice Sky is still here, making a slow climb. Now in 8th place is the highest that it's been. Onimai has risen into 9th place, and Inspector Season 2 has dropped 2 spaces into 10th. And you know, that one there actually makes no freaking sense to me. Last week, I had a little mini rant about why the hell is this here in the first place, and I still sort of agree with that. But since then, I've gone out of my way and, you know, finished watching all of season 1 that I did not watch before, and now I am fully caught up on season 2 because I wanted to see, does the show get better? It's hard to say, because the real bad parts of season 1 didn't really kick in until like episode 6 or so, and we're not there in season 2. So far it is slightly better. It's the drop, it's the 2 spaces drop that I don't understand, because I didn't feel like anything massively changed in the last few episodes. I feel like it was all pretty on par with one another, which A, makes me question what made it jump into this chart to begin with, and then B, why did it fall? God, I don't understand this chart sometimes. But hey, that's what it's been like for this past week, and look forward to next week when we get to look at it again, except not, and I'll get to that part later this week. And that is it for our show today. Hope you enjoyed these announcements, because I really wanted it to be a bit more of a positive episode. I think we got there. So subscribe if you haven't yet, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, whether that is later this week or next or whenever it happens to be, watch more anime and stay frosty.